Yo, what's up, everybody? Today on the podcast, we have singer songwriter Lindsay Lou. Weeks ago, I was driving down to Denver, and I have a really cool playlist that I named The First Drive, and I put this song called Southland on there that I'd heard on another playlist. And I was just in love with the song, and on the drive, I decided I was going to dig into her catalog, and I'm really glad I did. It's funny because during the podcast, she makes reference to, listening to a song over and over again, and I can't recall the last time that I did that with an artist, and both her records, Southland and Ionia, both have songs on it that I listened to 3-4 times in a row, over and over, and then did the same for many following days. But it was really cool too because this is the first podcast episode that I did with someone that I had no previous relationship with. Lindsay and I had never met, never talked before. So this was really cool to do. I kind of want to do more with people I've never met before. It was really interesting to talk to her, and find commonality in a lot of things, particularly growing up listening to punk rock, and I've recently been kind of coming home to traditional music and bluegrass and shit like that. But anyway, she's a badass, super cool, and one of my favorite songwriters right now. So I'm so glad that she agreed to come on the podcast. Hope you enjoy. And without further ado, Lindsay Lou. Lindsay Lou, welcome to the Satsang podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm good. Um, so first off, your music is amazing, dude. It's been a really
Thanks.
long time since I've found I was driving to Colorado about a month and a half ago, and I was familiar with a couple of your songs because they were on I had heard them on other playlists and then added them to like driving playlists. And then it hit me like, oh man, I've never just dove into her catalog. So I listened to all your records and it like fucked me up how good they were. So I had this whole 8 hour drive where I only listened to your records. Um,
Dang, cool.
yeah, man. So tell me about yourself. Tell me, yeah, you're in Nashville, yeah?
I'm in Nashville, but I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Um, that's where all my family roots are, is in the UP, which is like iron mining country. So Iron Mountain, Iron River, Ironwood, it's all and immigrants ended up there um, to farm and mine. So that's where my roots are. But I was born in Missouri, because my dad was working in the coal mines there for a while, but grew up in the UP. So I'm a Uper, and but yeah, I live in Nashville now, and I love it because you know it's Music City, and all my friends are here, and it's um, I like it hot, and I like to play music and sing with people, so it's perfect.
Yeah, it seems like a place like Nashville is kind of it's like it's kind of intimidating, right? Because there's this idea of like, oh, I want to go be around all these other musicians, but then also it's like, man, the competition to get noticed has to be so thick, just as far as just like how many songwriters and amazing singers and players of every instrument imaginable.
Yeah, I think it's like 100% attitude, like what are you looking for? Are you coming to Nashville to be a big star and, you know, yeah, get noticed? Well, then,
Sure.
yeah, it will be intimidating. But if you're coming here just to be like, you move to Spain to speak Spanish, right? To be just completely submersed and surrounded by um, your passion. And that's what you can find here too, is just a community of people who like to jam and inspire each other and co-write. I had never really co-written until I moved here, and ironically, the first song I co-wrote was with these two women from Michigan that I'm in a band with called the Sweetwater Warblers. I
Yep,
don't know if you're hip to that
I am.
project, but um, they're some of my favorite people, and so that even though I moved to the co-writing town, I still broke the seal with with my Michigan sister songbirds. And since then, I've done a good bit of it. It really revolutionized my process, and kind of just felt like blew open the doors, of possibility.
Yeah, I've never co-written before. It's funny, like I had a session. I was staying with Franti in San Francisco, and he was like, "Yeah, man, let's write a song together tonight." And I was like super nervous. I'm like, I don't even know what that looks like, like um
Totally, because it's such a vulnerable space to be in. It's so personal.
totally.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in Nashville? What was the push that made you go like, okay, cool, I'm leaving Michigan, I'm going to Nashville?
Well, um, so the we used to be called Lindsay Lou and the Flat Bellies,
Hmm.
and the Flat Bellies was this band that it was like a college bluegrass band, that my husband Joshua had started with his friend Josh Brand. They were like the Josh Mountain Boys of Lansing, Michigan. And Josh Brand moved to Nashville. Once he graduated law school, he moved down here, and he would just tell us all these tales about being in somebody's living room, picking party, and with Tim O'Brien and David Greer and all these people who were role models to us, people who just embodied the spirit of the music. And everybody's here hanging out and playing music. So that sort of gave us oh, Nashville sounds fun. um, so we moved around some. We moved to Ann Arbor. We lived in this house in Ionia, Michigan, where we recorded the record Ionia. But we were sort of squatting with permission in the house in Ionia because we had gone homeless for a while, just kind of lived on the road for almost a year. And then we made that record, and it just kind of felt like um, we weren't so strongly rooted with our living situation at the time. And we'd started to play, we'd been playing for about a year or two with PJ George had joined the band on bass. And he was sort of living in Nashville. He had like a storage unit here. But he had lived in apartments here too, but just at that time we'd all kind of, just were living on the road. But it just seemed like, well, let's go to PJ's town and where Josh Brand is, and we got here, and it's like the Straybirds had just moved here and Miss Tess had just moved here. Um, and all our friends that we had been crossing paths with at festivals, everybody's coming here, so it just felt like we instantly had a family. Came home to a family. And Rachel Davis had also already lived here. She's one of the Warblers, and her husband Dominic plays bass in Jack White's band when he's doing stuff. Um, so it's just like a magnet, It's
Sure.
like people are here. It's already family. There's beautiful waterfalls to hike to all around, um, and yeah, it's nice. There's not really winter,
Yes,
Coming
yes.
from Michigan, there's not really winter here.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm like so scared of the heat in the South. Like, oh
Where
man,
are you in Montana? Is
I
that where
am.
you're?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I like, the summers here are dope, but yeah, man, when it starts creeping above 80 degrees, it's not for me, man. It's not for me. The driving in the winter sure sucks. It's funny. I was talking about this on another episode of the podcast where I kind of like, I don't, let's say avoided the South. I just wasn't really in a hurry to tour down there. And I was kind of like scared to like, okay, we're going to go this whole new part of the country. And we got so much love down there, and we went in the winter. So it was like the most refreshing thing ever, right? It's like 60 degrees everywhere. And like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it was
Smart.
perfect. So
What
that
part of mine?
I
I'm
live
sorry.
in,
What?
I'll get back to that question. I live in, in Southwest Montana, right by Yellowstone National Park.
Cool. My uncle lives in well, he lives in Butte now, but he lived in Gardner for
Oof.
for years because he worked as an electrician in the park. And yeah, my dad just got back from there. Montana's kind of like the other
Oh, that's
home.
awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Gardner is magic. We're actually um I was torn between I have all of my band coming out and we're gonna track a new record. I rented a house in Paradise Valley. We were gonna rent one in Gardner, but it fell through last minute, so we're going to
Mhm.
Paradise Valley. Um so that record Ionia, did you write all of those songs?
Yeah. Wait. So both of the last two records, Southland and Ionia, have two or three songs on them that were written by friends of ours.
Okay.
So on Ionia, I wrote all of them except "The River Jordan" was written by Mayor Early Wine, another one of the Warblers, and a close friend. And "Criminal Style" was written by Todd Greavy, who's
Hmm.
a musician from Alaska, and he had been living in Nashville at the time. I heard him. He's just such an exceptional songwriter, and I'd heard him play that song at a gig in town somewhere. And when he released this, he released like an EP and it wasn't on it. And I was like, oh, where's that song? Can I have that song?
Yeah.
Love that song. So those are two songs that I didn't write. And then on the newest record, Southland, um, we picked "The River That I Knew," which was written by Nick Woods, another guy who kind of splits his time between Nashville and I guess maybe he's in Richmond or Roanoke, Virginia. He grew up with PJ, so he's one of our bass players, close childhood friends. Exceptional songwriter again. We did his song, and we did a song by uh, Ruthie from the Mammals. Mike and Ruthie, they're on upstate New York, and also good friends, people who inspire us. So I'm trying to think if there's another cover on Southland. But I co-wrote a lot of Southland. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the two songs in particular. So I it's interesting. I'm going through a weird musical phase right now where I'm coming back to a lot of stuff, right? So I grew up, my mom like way deep into 80s and 90s country. And then
uh,
through that, when I started partying, I found bluegrass.
hmm
Um, and then creeped into the jam band stuff, but was always really into punk rock and hip hop. Um, and then, it had just gone off on tangents, but I kind of stopped listening to bluegrass and country and traditional music for like the last 5 years. And then spending all this time in Montana, um, I've really been coming back to it and really enjoying it. Um, and the two songs on Ionia that really stand out to me are Old Song and House Together. I just
mm.
think they're like, it's insane how well written they are and the
Oh,
structure
thanks.
of them. And they just get like even just saying the titles out loud, they like start playing in my head.
Mm.
They're like such good songs. And then also, just as a fan of bluegrass music, the players that you play with, holy shit. So how did you meet all those guys? They're so good.
They are so good. So I'm so grateful to work with them. We're kind of like, um, you know, have a family band vibe almost. um, so I met Josh, like I said, in Lansing. We're both going to Michigan State University, and there was an open mic at Dagwood's Tavern in Lansing that was hosted by our friend Jen Siggett, who's a real deep uh, folk songwriter, musician. She's still holding it down in Lansing, and she's just like a pillar of the community there. And she just brought together the coolest folks. People would be playing fiddle tunes, and Josh's band, who the Flat Bellies, who when they played at Dagwoods, they called themselves Ass Bluegrass. They would be there every Tuesday. Is Spencer and Josh Brand. And I remember seeing them. The first bluegrass I ever saw was in Montana, actually, when I was a little girl. And I grew up in a musical family, and I grew up singing on my mom's side. But we were out there visiting my dad's brother, and they were like, "Oh, Lindsay, you know, you love music and singing. We're gonna take you to this jam," and because he'd been friends with these people who hosted a bluegrass jam, and I was just like, "Whoa!" There's, there were the it's just such a amazing quality that bluegrass music has because it just sounds so good, because of the tenets that the genre is based off of, just like tight rhythm and harmony singing, um, and proficiency with the taking solos and playing melodies. It's just beautiful music. So that really floored me. But I'm getting off track a little bit. So I started hanging out at Dagwood's and with Josh and the Flat Bellies. And the band kind of morphed. We had Mark Lavengood played with us for a while. He's on both those records. And PJ joined us somewhere like 2013. But it was just really bluegrass music, just like a shared love for jamming and playing music together, and being in the same sort of world and the same touring circuit too. I think that's a lot how we met PJ. I think the first time I met PJ was at the Galax Fiddlers Convention in Galax, Virginia. I don't know if I properly met him, but he was playing with Nora Jane Struthers at the time, and we met her at Watermelon Park. So just all these little festivals that you run into people. That's how you come together. So it started with an open mic and grew out of just moving around the country, chasing the music.
That's awesome. Yeah, what I really love about particularly that record, right? I always kind of feel like there's on like this far one side you have the like traditional songs, right, where everyone's just kind of strumming on the same thing, and then you have like the Crunch Brothers that's just like, oh my God, this is super artsy and weird and out,
Mm-hmm.
and like the jazz approach. And I've, for lack of a better way to say it, you guys do a really good job of like showing how good you are without it coming off as like showing off or like splattering paint, like just the cool, like in House Together, like those cool little hits right before the verses start. Like, I love that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, we're tight as fuck, but we're playing a song, you know what I mean? Like we're not like trying to get super far out. I just really, really love that. What's some
Thanks.
stuff that you grew up listening to, like that made you kind of want to, I'll get specific with that later, but what did you grow up really loving?
Um, well, I grew up, like I said, I was in a musical family. So I grew up hearing my mom was one of 12
Whew,
siblings. And so I have like 80 or 90 cousins at this point. Um,
that's so
And when we get
crazy.
together, it was always just like a big jam, Like I remember being a little kid at the farm, and like with a family like this, it's like you've got 2 to 80, and it's just like everybody. It's just like all the eight, but you get these little like um, generational hangs, right? So when I was little, it was like my Uncle Stucky and Uncle Muffy and all the older cousins. They would party and they would play, like Pearl Jam and Silverchair and what was that? Uh, Self Esteem. Who's that band? I want to say Outcast, the Offspring.
Yep,
you know.
yep, yep.
Um, so that and they played. They would play like Indigo Girls songs, and that's what really got me singing along with my uncles and cousins. Were these It's like the Indigo Girls, and my uncle was in a medieval fair for a while, and he picked up a couple of these songs from this medieval throwback duo called the Minstrels of Mayhem. And
Great
so
name.
there's just these, yeah, so there's just these like family standards that everybody in the family played. And then like my mom's generation would be like my mom, my Uncle Bernie, and my Auntie Melody. They like they sang these three-part harmonies so beautifully on Beatles songs, and they were really into this band called the Second Chapter of Acts, which was like a brother sister gospel trio. um, in like the 70s and 80s. So they would sing their songs, and um, that was what was like really fueling me to participate in music as a young person. You know, were things like that, hearing my family make music together. And that's why, you know, I, like you said, I was really into punk rock. I was really into Operation Ivy and
Hell yeah.
um, Rancid and all these that I got I have developed a real love for that music in my adolescent, you know, middle school, high school years. Um, but when I found bluegrass music, it was just like it just felt like coming home. It just felt like uh, being able to get together with these people who I hardly even knew and sing three-part harmony as though I was singing with my family. It just felt so um, so much like home, you know. And anybody I meet in this scene who I developed that a friendship with, it just feels like home, you know.
Totally. I think what was really cool about going from punk rock to bluegrass, um, you know, and everyone kind of has an opinion on Yonder, but I remember seeing Yonder Mountain String Band in like the early 2000s, you know, when Jeff was like, you know, and I was like, whoa, fuck, bro, this is like full on punk rock energy
Totally,
at a
he
bluegrass
had
show.
100%.
You know,
Yeah,
so,
he
and
really brought that.
yeah, and I just remember, yeah, the first, I remember my first show, the first time I saw Yonder, yeah, they like started with that like Kentucky mandolin jam. And then they just went, you know, when he would get on the and like scream, and I just was like, oh my God, this is it. This is a punk rock show. They're just playing bluegrass, you know, music.
Hmm.
Oh, I love that. So
Yeah, there's yeah.
what have you been doing since? Well, first, what did you have planned before COVID happened?
We were gonna play the Big Sky Festival out in Montana. That was one of the first things that got canceled. That hurt. We just had a sweet festival season lined up, and I was gearing up to release a record with the Sweetwater Warblers. We had a couple of festivals with that, like Strawberry out in California and Wheatland Music Festival in our home state of Michigan. Oh man, I mean, there've been some sad moments because, you know, I'd like to say like we're all sort of operating under this idea that we're just moving 2020 to 2021, but it's not really,
We don't know.
but it's not really gonna be the same, you know, because it's like, well, we released the record anyway, you know, because this is the time when we need music, when we want music. So we're not going to hold on to it for business. We're going to release it for, you know, love and community
Yeah.
and um so, you know, so it's not going to be the same. But we're going to the Warblers are planning some special stream shows in October because we were going to do some, you know, cross country touring in the fall for the record. Um, so we're gonna put something together for that. But you know, it's been for all of the sort of disappointing things that we had to let go of, plans and ideas we had to let go of. It's I really do value this time as, you know, I like that it's been called the Great Pause because that's what it feels like, is just a moment to pause and reassess and take stock and focus on what's important because we're, you know, it's kind of like we get so it almost becomes like a rat race, you know, of like you just feel like you have to constantly be doing so much. If you're not doing, then you're doing something wrong. And to be told, you know, no, just you can still be doing, but stay
Very
put
different
for a
kind of
second.
doing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird too, because you know, I'm a busy bee. You know, I like to work. And previously, you couldn't pay me to take a year off. You could be like, "Hey, man, we'll give you all of the money you were going to make on the road, and you don't have to go." I'd have been like, "Still better go." And
Yeah.
what's been really cool about this time for me is kind of redefining myself outside of Just being a musical artist, which is something that I haven't really assessed in about 5 years, because we've just, like you're saying, you do the thing, you tour, and then you make another record, and then you tour, and then it's
You're
festival
just
season, then you
going.
tour, and you're just kind of rolling the thing out. And the further it goes, the more it becomes your identity. And it was funny, we were always joking in the band, like all last summer, people were addressing me as the band name. People be like, yo, Satsang, hey, Satsang, at festivals and stuff like that. And I was like, that's not my name, you know?
Right.
And with
Right.
this time, I've really like, I've put a lot more, focus into my family and like getting healthy. And really, I wouldn't have a really cool record to go record, because I probably would still be listening to the same shit that I just listened to when I'm touring, rather than like, oh, I haven't listened to, I haven't listened to this. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Tim O'Brien. I've been actually listening to Tim O'Brien a lot, and like all this old timey
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And um, yeah, it's an exciting time, really, because it's going to be really cool to see what all of these artists, like you and I are talking about, that go, like, okay, well, everyone just had a year at home. So I think we're going to see people's like musicianship go through the roof. And um,
Yeah,
yeah,
creativity and mm-hmm.
yeah, I think everyone's going to come out with like their coolest records ever. Um, And when, so I've noticed after following you on socials and stuff that you are buds with Billy Strings. How did you meet that kid? Um,
Same thing, just in Michigan. He the first memory I have of seeing him was we played this film festival in Traverse City, which is where he was living. And there was like it was in like an like an elementary school or something. And there was a classroom that was like green room area. And he waltzed in, and Mark Lavengood knew him. So we met up with him on the street a couple hours later, and they sat and picked. He just texted us I think I must have taken the picture. Somebody must have taken the picture of Mark and Josh and Billy sitting there on the street the first day we met, playing music. And I remember hearing him and just thinking like, doing like one of the double take, like, wait, is that Doc Watson?
right?
Like, who came out of a metal band? Like, what?
Yep.
It sounds so good. So we would just be touring around. We were touring a lot when we met him, like 2013, 2012, 2013. Lots of playing so many shows around Michigan. So we'd pass by Traverse City a good bit, and he'd always put us up. He and his brother Aaron would put us up. Um, just really sweet dude, sweet family. So we became friends over the years.
Yeah, he
And
is.
then we became neighbors and yeah.
Is he down there too now?
Yeah, so um he was in Traverse City um when we moved to Nashville, and he called me like, I don't know, a year or so after we moved here. A year or two maybe. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about, I'm sure he was talking to a lot of different people at the time about this, but he called me and said, I'm thinking about either going to Colorado or Nashville." And I was like, "Dude, come to Nashville, because you're just gonna thrive here, and people hear you, they're gonna, you know, and all of the heroes are here." And I just knew everybody's gonna want to play with this guy because he's who he is.
He's a fucking walking time machine, man. Like what?
He's a walking time
What?
machine and just the sweetest dude. Um, so yeah, so he said, "Well, I just want to put a birdie in your ear." And there was a room in my house that we were looking to rent, but he was coming down with his girlfriend, and we knew some other people that were looking for a place. So this one night at 2 a.m., I don't know why, I went out onto my front porch, and my neighbor across the street was walking out into the street, and she's like, "Hey," it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right? She's like in the middle of the street, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that we're moving out of this house, and so it's going to be available for rent in January if you know anybody, if you want to keep it in your friends." I was like, oh, okay. So I called Billy the next day and I was like, I guess I got a house for you.
That's awesome.
And so he moved in there. He ended up moving in there with Molly Tuttle. So it was Billy and Allie and
Oh,
Molly Tuttle
wild.
in that house. And then myself and my husband Josh and our roommate Molly Farr across the street. So we had like a little pod there for a while on Petway. And Mimi from Fruition still is holding it down there with our friend Katie. Also, she's a works in the music biz, sweet girl. So yeah, so it's cool. I had a little. We've got such a nice community here, and yeah. So Billy moved here, and that's exactly what happened. He just is thriving because there's no way that guy can't.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see. There's a few people, I got he's one, and then Marcus King is another guy that's been real cool to just watch him,
Hmm.
go, because I just feel like those are, two cats that, yeah, the very first time that I saw both of them, I was like, well, this isn't going to take long. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, just bound for glory. Um, so back to you. How old were you when you started like performing?
I was well. I mean, I've been performing. I don't know. My mom tells me this story about being on Harson's Island at um, a birthday party for her grandpa, and I was 3, and she said I tugged on, and I kind of have like kind of a fuzzy memory of this too. She said I tugged on her skirt, and I was like, "Mom, I want to sing Happy Birthday for Grandpa, like in front of everybody." So they like put me up on stage. And I was 3 years old, and I sang "Happy Birthday" for the crowd. You know, it was like a song I knew that I could perform. So I I think I was just kind of like a ham as a kid, and I just love singing for people. I think I was probably I just it's such a pleasant thing to do. It's always been such a pleasant thing to do. So I've been performing my whole life for as long as I can remember, I guess. But I
Yeah,
started touring full time in 2012.
man. Yeah, it's funny how scenes are. That's what's, I always talk to my friends that are in reggae bands about this, of how there's like, if you play like, bluegrass or that folk music, like you're saying, like, I get super jealous when I hear people talk about these like amazing communities of artists that they have, because I feel like we're in this like weird rogue thing. And I have like friends that are in reggae bands where it's the same thing. They're like, yeah, dude, I mean, we don't stay in hotels. It's like, we know reggae bands everywhere we go. So we just have like homies all over, and like, uh, gosh, man, yeah, it's just so cool. And it's kind of seeing how small um, the scene is, and to find out that you guys all really know each other and like play together and live in the same city. That's got to just be like the fucking coolest feeling in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a dream tour for you? Like if you could go on tour with any band in existence, who would it be?
Um, I mean, we were just talking about Billy, so now I'm thinking about being on tour with Billy. That would be fun. Um,
You
you
guys sing
know,
real well together.
yeah, I love
It
singing
sounds
with
real
him.
cool.
Thanks. Um, but any band, I mean, geez, I could go so many directions with that.
Totally.
It would be really sweet to tour with James Taylor or Bonnie Raitt, or like these um, just monumental forces of nature who have had such a big impact um, on me and everybody. Um, yeah, I don't know. Who would be any of those?
Yeah, shit, those are great answers. Have you met anybody in all of your of just like bopping around festivals and stuff like that? Have you met anyone where you've gotten starstruck? It's only happened to me a couple times. But have you met anyone where you like, I tend not to get awkward around people when I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, you're just, further along on your thing than some of us
Mhm,
are. But have you ever met
mhm.
anyone where you just got like, oh shit, that's,
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that with with these two women I'm in this band with, the Warblers, with May and Rachel, is because I was just at this part in my development as an artist. You know, I was in college studying to be a doctor.
No shit.
And yeah, I have a degree in human biology and Spanish. So I was my undergraduate studies, but I was like deep in it, and I saw them perform and I heard their music, and it just changed me forever. You know, it's like I always wanted to be a singer and I always wanted to be a musician, but I had sort of like stepped away from the idea because I've decided that I wanted to be a scientist and a doctor, you know? But seeing them, like meeting Josh and seeing the community and seeing them perform, just how much they change, how much they like just kind of blew up my worldview and um, uh, really struck a chord in my heart. You know, just how much impact they had on me. I was so awkward around both of them for so long, and I don't know if they thought I was awkward, but I just felt really awkward just because I was just like, "Oh my God, I love you so much. I
Totally.
love the what is coming out of your soul is having such a big impact on me." And I just like would just feel really squirrely around him, you know? So I have like this, it doesn't necessarily have to be like somebody who's
Sure.
a star, like super famous. Like
Yep.
I get starstruck when something does something that just has such a huge impact on me. Um, so yeah, I get like that. I think I felt a little bit like that when I met, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm
I'm
usually
just
like,
like, you're
oh, we're
just,
all just people.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
all just
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's funny. The people that it's happened to me with are like really random. One, it was probably just like the coolest thing that I'd ever seen. So we were backstage at a Rise Music Festival in Colorado,
Hmm.
and the headliners for that night were um, Galactic with Charlie Tuna from J5. And I could like hear on the radio, they're like, his flight was delayed, he's late, he's late. And we're like, you know, standing on the side stage, like, because Galactic just went on and started jamming because it was time to start playing.
Uh-huh.
And the coolest thing I've ever seen, Charlie Tuna pulled up, like this black SUV pulls up, and he walks out, flips his cap around, grabs a mic, and just walked on stage. And something happened when he walked by. I was just like, holy shit, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen, you know, to just like shook me to the
Yeah.
bones of how like nonchalantly he was just like, and boom, back at the office, you know,
Yeah.
just like turned it on. And then another one was, I just, I was really obsessed with Keller Williams when I was in high school. You know, I just went and saw him so many times, and he was just so unique to me and so fucking cool. And when I had him on I just spent so much of my late teens being like, dude, I'd love to just hang out with Keller and talk about the dead. And so when I had him on the podcast, I totally felt like that 17-year-old kid where I was like, so what was your first Dead show like, man? You know, like,
Yeah.
do you like the Dead?
I do. I loved it. Sort of came into the dead world, you know, it was like a late bloomer into the dead world, but it's been such a trip to journey into their music. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been listening to, there's this really cool podcast that they just started called The Good Old Grateful Dead, where they like break down the story of each song from a record, and they're doing Working Man's Dead right now. Um, which is a country record, you know. They were like at the height of the like San Francisco psychedelic scene, and then fucking made a country record with pedal steel on every song, and like everyone was like, oh, this might be career suicide, and they did it anyway. And I'm like, it's been really inspiring to me because we have on the next record, we have like fiddle and pedal steel and mandolin and a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know, dude, our fans are either going to be really weirded out or be like, oh, that's cool, you know.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
find out.
As he comes along.
All right, so I have these standard questions that I ask every musician that I have on. So we'll rock these out, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
All right, what was the first artist or song that made you cry?
Um, I saw that you were going to ask me this question. I listened to your introduction today, and I
Nice.
thought about it, and I can't say for sure, but the first memory I can think of is I remember laying on the couch with my Discman, my headphones on, listening to Sarah McLachlan's. Uh, is it called Sweet Surrender? Is that what the album's called? Or just Surfacing? Yeah, the record is called Surfacing, and there's a song on it called Sweet Surrender. But the song Full of Grace, it's the second to the last song. I remember listening to that and just sobbing. I was just like uncontrollably sobbing. There's, you know, home life was of such a particular way at that time that that song just like got into my bones. And yeah, I remember having a
She's a
good cry.
she's a tearjerker of an artist. She has
Yeah.
more than a couple songs that have been known to make people cry.
Hmm.
Who are your um favorite three artists right now?
My favorite three artists. Oh my God. I have a sort of annoying thing about me with the idea of favorites.
What are the
It
most
just
three
seems
played artists for you right now?
okay. That's easier. The most I well, I've been listening to a lot of John Prine this whole ever since
Great.
even before he got sick, but really especially once he got sick, I feel like the whole world kind of rallied and just like went to that place that his music created. And so I've been listening to a lot of John Prine. I'm always listening to a lot of Grateful Dead and um Cream. I listened to two songs on a bike ride yesterday. I listened to The Sunshine of Your Love and Into the Mystic. Uh, Van Morrison
Yeah,
and Cream. I just listened to those songs for the entire like 15-mile ride.
it's awesome.
That's kind of what I do. I like find a song and I just listen to that song on
Yeah,
repeat. And I'll be like I'm listening to one song over and over again because I'm like get lost in my thoughts, but I always come
yeah.
back to it and just like hear different parts throughout the time.
That's funny. Okay, I'm glad. I do that all the time too because I try to listen to it where I like switch my brain setting where I'm like, okay, what is it about this song that makes it so good? Like, why do I want to keep? I mean, dude, a song has to be pretty dope to listen to it 3-4 times in a row and not be like, okay, cool, just listen to it, you know? So
Hmm.
yeah, I've been doing that a lot recently too, and even going back into some like I've been listening to a lot of like early Garth Brooks and George Strait and just like
Nice.
what makes these songs, you know, what about these songs were so good that millions and millions of people were just like, yes, I also love this shit, you know?
Hmm. Also, Mavis Staples, the record "You're Not Alone" that she made with Jeff Tweedy. That record's just been. I've put that on. That's like when I take a bath or like have a moment, like a
Sure.
centering moment for myself. That's the record, and I just can't even believe how good it is. Like Mavis Staples, "You're Not Alone," and Aretha Franklin, "Amazing Grace." Those two records. I mean, if you want to connect with whatever your idea of spirituality is, I really believe that that's an excellent place to start.
Hell yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah.
I feel like those are the people that would make me like, oh shit, Mavis Staples right there, yo. You know, or like
Oh, yeah. Oh,
the,
yeah, for sure. I'd be starstruck as fuck.
yeah, yeah, those that legendary that's a different level.
Yeah,
That's a completely different level. James Taylor would be another guy. I mean, it'd just be really hard not to be like, yo, dude, so you're fucking James Taylor. That must be wild, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Um, what was the first thing you heard that made you really know, like, I want to, I want to do music? Not just like, oh, I really love music, but made you go like, I could do this.
Probably May and Rachel and Josh, seeing the Flat Bellies and Jen Siggett. The Michigan music scene is really special. And I had abandoned the idea of music being my livelihood as an adolescent because I was a punk rocker and I didn't like the idea of mixing money and music. You know, somebody told me the music business is 90% business and 10% music. And I was like, fuck that. I don't want anything to do with that. So I'm going to be a doctor and change the world.
Right.
But then when I found the Michigan music scene and it just really readjusted my focus on what, you know, what was possible and how we can be and exist and still be still have it, you know, it's a different thing when it's your livelihood because it's your it's sort of is allowed to be your all-encompassing focus, you know,
Yep.
which is a blessing and a curse, of course. But yeah, seeing the Earthwork Music Collective and May and Rachel and the Flat Bellies, that really that left me with a feeling of, oh, I can do this too. You know, I don't have to be pretending like you know, this Britney Spears pop star route, you know. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It just didn't feel like something I could do authentically. I like dressing up, you know,
Sure.
and I like performing, but there's just something that bluegrass and folk music, especially the way it exists in Michigan, there's just something that it showed me that allowed me to like merge my performing and punk rock, but me, you know, because I'm like, you know, I can only be so punk rock as Lindsay Lou.
Totally.
I realized
Totally.
I got an electric guitar in high school, and I was like, I just
It didn't
I
feel
don't know
right.
what to do with this thing. I
Yeah.
play acoustic guitar and I sing Indigo Girls songs.
Right. Um, yeah, it's really funny. I actually was having a conversation last night. I have a friend in town visiting, um, and we were talking about the use of psychedelics. And I was like, honestly, man, the past couple times I've done psychedelics, it's really thrown me for a limb because I've been like, as you're saying, that like my lifestyle, it's so all encompassing that I'm like, so I write these songs in a notebook, but I have a lawyer and a publicist and a manager and an agent. Like, why is it this complex? Why does it have to be this weird? You know, and it kind of fucks me up sometimes, you know, because it's just like you're saying, it's like, it's, you know, if you spin too far out on that wormhole, like it can really take you for a ride. Cause at the end of the day, yeah, we're just writing tunes and notebooks to connect with people. That's all we're doing is we're just trying to
Yeah,
make people
connect
feel.
with others and ourselves,
Yeah.
which and like hone in on the fact that of how shared that entity actually is, you know. Yeah, I remember I had a couple psychedelic experiences early on when I first started, when I was first kind of, you know, releasing the shrouds of what I thought I was going to be and what I thought I was going to do for the last, you know, for my college and high school careers, and accepting what was underneath that and who I actually was, which is like an artist and a singer, um, and a writer. And I remember having these psychedelic experiences where you just felt like, oh my God, this is exactly where I belong, you know? Like right after we made Release Your Shrouds, we went up to my family hunting camp in the UP and ate some mushrooms, and it I ended up going down into it in straight into the darkness because I ended up by myself for a while. But the whole
Yeah.
beginning of the trip um was just like pure sunshine of like the graceful sense of belonging, you know, like I just am where I'm meant to be and I'm doing exactly what like this make why did I ever think I was going to do anything else? You know?
Yeah,
Um
that's a great feeling to have.
mhm.
Yeah, you know what's really special, and I don't know if you've ever thought about this, so will give you this to chew on because it really fucked me up in a great way when I thought I was in my backyard shooting my bow, and I saw a fella that I've known for many years in this town walk by, and he's just kind of always bartending here or there, and you know, he's just kind of hopping from job to job, and we're the same age, and it hit me I haven't asked myself, what am I doing with my life in a really long time? And what a gift that is to be like, well, no, I make music. That's what I do. Like
Hmm.
that's, and, I shared that with my brother when he was out here visiting, and he was like, man, don't let go of that shit. Cause
Hmm.
he's like, the average person is at a job doing something going, what am I fucking doing here with my time? And it's like, even though the road as an artist, it's really uncertain and really bumpy and fucking weird. And like we're talking about, over complex at times, it's still like, what a gift to just know why you're here and what you're doing, and
Yeah. And I definitely go in and out of that, mental health being what it is.
sure.
Um, uh, we're the hardest on ourselves. We're harder on ourselves than anybody could be. Um, like I almost wish that there were more like I want to get together with my haters and just like commune with them and be like, yeah, I know. Like why did I do that? You know what I mean? because I mean, I'm definitely like I have like moments of like, oh yeah, of course this is what I'm doing. But then I have a lot of time where I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I
Yeah.
worthy of this? Can I actually be, I don't know. It's
Well,
just it's a roller coaster.
totally. Well, if it, I'm not any sort of authority on anything at all, but as a, when we're talking about listening to songs over and over again, I mean, you know, my mom was in the Nashville Songwriters Guild for a long time, and just like,
Ooh,
her whole thing was she just wanted to write pop country songs for other people, because that's kind of the vibe, and that
okay.
scene, as they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a great song, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I sent her that Ionia record and Southland, and it fucked her right up. She was just like, how is this not what? So again, I'm not any sort of authority on anything, but I don't believe that you should be questioning whether or not you should be writing and singing songs, because you 100 million trillion infinity% should. I think you have, like I said, I can't even think of another time in the last 5 years that I heard songs that I listened to 5 times in a row. And I had an 8-hour trip there and back where I was just listening to both of your last records on repeat. You're a phenomenal songwriter. And I love your music. And I really like seeing uh, growth in artists. I like seeing like, ooh, this is different than the last record, but it's still, and the like insertion of, in Southland, the insertion of like this cool like vintage retro psychedelia mixed with that old timey music still is so fucking cool. And it's so and then hopping on YouTube and seeing you and your band perform those songs, and it sounds exactly like the record. Like for me, that's such a huge thing, because it's really easy to
Mhm.
make a super fucking cool record and then be like, yeah, well, it's not going to sound like that when we play it, but you know.
Yeah, totally. Cause that's cool too, like create like there's that David Byrne book, How Music Works,
You've read
where he,
that?
I haven't personally,
Okay.
which if we're gonna should, that would be a should,
Yeah.
but I have, but I'm like, I like to surround myself with people who who do, so I can sort of like osmosis from them.
Sure.
And so I have Josh read it, and I know a lot of people who haven't, so I've picked up little bits from them, and that's something that he talks about is just like looking at the performance space of the live show and the recording as two completely different things, because
Yep.
it's great that you've mentioned that, because that was our aim in making Ionia, is that we wanted to make something that was really us, that when we played it, that's what it sounds like. So we've set up microphones in a dining room, one microphone per person, and played our music
Those
together.
are live takes.
Yeah.
Whoo.
So we're just like in a circle looking at each other, playing with each other. That was our 100% our intention with that record. Um But I do also love and think that it's a great idea to take advantage of the infinite space of the recording studio and explore and see what, not sort of detach yourself from what it might be once you start making it live for people, and let that be its own thing. So I think that both are cool
Yeah.
ways of approaching it, but it was really special. Making Ionia was a really special
Yeah,
thing.
it's a trip. I'm kind of confused, what the hell I'm going to do, because I'm like, yeah, I'm making a record where it's like, well, unless I hire, some dude that knows how to play pedal steel, fiddle, and mandolin,
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm going to have to
Like
hire one of
Charlie
those
Rose.
guys. Yeah, yeah, right. I have a friend in Denver that's like, he's a phenomenal pedal steel player and guitar player, but he's one of those dudes where he's like, oh, I can't really play the banjo. And then you hand him a banjo and he's like, well, sounds like you can play the banjo, bro. you know? Um, okay. Two more. Just because we've talked about punk rock a bunch. Three, again, I know favorites are hard. Three most like influential punk bands that you can think of from your youth.
um, I mean, I kind of stuck to the basics. I listened to a lot of NoFX
Yep.
and a lot of Operation Ivy, and I don't know. I really liked the earlier AFI, like Shut Your Mouth, Open Your Eyes. I listened to
Yep.
that record a lot. So probably those two, but like The Clash was kind of a punk rock band to me. I listened to London Calling a
Yep.
bunch of times. So, if I could have four, probably those.
Sure. I still go back to that. All right. Last question. How do you want to be remembered?
As someone who could love and be loved.
Great answer, dude. That was really good. Um, well, thank you so much for hanging out with me and taking the time to talk. And I hope when the world gets back together that, that when we come through your town, hopefully you're around and you come sing a song with us.
Hell yeah, hit me up.
I will.
Love to.
Well, it was great talking to you, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care.
Nice to talk with you.
You too. Yo, all right, gang. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the podcast. Make sure you go on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon, whatever the hell you listen to music on, and look up Lindsay Lou. Download all of her shit. Share it with your friends. Tell everyone you know about her. Like I said, she's one of my favorite songwriters right now. Can't get enough of her tunes, and you should be listening to them as well. Next week on the podcast, we got my brother from another mother, my day one, the dude that has helped me make every single Satsang record, our engineer, co-producer, harmony singing, bass slapping, smile giving, homeboy, Carl Roth. Satsang's own, baby. He was just actually out here for like 4 days. We were supposed to go play the Mishawaka, but there's a fire in the Poudre Canyon, and because of the smoke, we had to postpone the shows. We were going to do the podcast in person, but we started working on music, and we were just really having a blast hanging out with the fam. My son Malachi came up with a nickname for him. No one else has a nickname, but he started calling Carl Innie. And he can very much say his name, but anyway, I say all that to say it was really adorable, so we all just kind of did the family thing, and when we weren't doing the family thing, Carl and I were recording shit for the new record. So next week, Carl will be on the podcast, and it's going to be dope. So tell your friends, I love you. Make sure, as always, download, save, share, subscribe, yada yada. Big love, take care of yourself, drink water. Peace.